All right, let's talk about Donald Trump and a so-called populism. And I want to bring in my further thoughts about my discussion with Cenk Uygur last week. As some of you remember, last week I spoke to Cenk on the show, and I told Cenk, I don't think your heart's in the wrong place when it comes to, hey, if we can work with some of these MAGA people to achieve our goals, why not? Totally fine. Makes perfect sense. I told Cenk, I think you're naive to think that they're actually going to work with us. And the label of populist is something that Trump throws around when he's campaigning. The second that it's time to govern, it disappears faster than a MAGA hat at a science fair. For 2 years, Trump has been selling himself as the one man fix for all of America's problems. Groceries, cheap again. Gas, gonna be cheap again. Healthcare, it's going to be fixed. Wars are going to be over. And the whole thing was, hey, working class, I'm going to fix everything that ails you. And all of a sudden, it's crickets on the issues that matter most to Trump's base. Trump has either gone silent, or when pressed to answer, he will say, that's kind of difficult. It's a difficult thing to do. Remember how Trump blamed Biden for the high grocery prices. And during that recent Time magazine interview, Trump casually said, actually, getting prices back to those earlier price levels, that's going to be really difficult. Trump's big solution is a recession, because nothing says helping the working class like tanking an economy with your harebrained economic ideas. The gas prices. When's the last time he talked about gas prices? He generically says we'll get energy down 50%, which he won't. But part of the difficulty and the reason Trump's been mum about gas prices since winning the election is that gas prices were already at 4-year lows around the time of the election. How much lower are they really going to go? And so the populist savior of the MAGA working class evaporates like when you pour water on cotton candy. And instead, Donald Trump is focusing on slashing the federal government, maybe, boosting skilled foreign worker visas, maybe, except a bunch of MAGA doesn't want that. And then, of course, extending tax cuts for billionaires and for corporations. And these are policies that won't just fail to help his base, they will hurt his base. Food stamps, rural hospital funding, subsidies for small businesses. These are all on the chopping block to make more room for tax cuts for the ultra rich. And then there's the new Trump obsessions. Like, instead of focusing on real policies, he's talking about reclaiming the Panama Canal, buying Greenland, getting rid of, whatever leader he's not, Justin Trudeau, for example, interestingly enough. And for context, these are all just like pipe dreams. The U.S. hasn't controlled the Panama Canal since the Carter administration. Greenland's not for sale. Trudeau's resigning. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump whatsoever. And meanwhile, Trump's media allies are in full spin mode. Anytime Trump floats these whacked out ideas, they go, that's Trump being Trump. And of course, we know that that's a style that is not benign. It undermines international agreements all the time. It makes the US look like a joke on the world stage. And it's part of the empty showmanship that Trump has been selling for years. People are noticing. Brad Gutierrez wrote a guest opinion piece in the Citizen Times. Donald Trump has gone silent on working class cost of living issues. And of course, he has. Now, my plan is to track it on the day that Trump is inaugurated, the day after. Trump's inaugurated on the 20th. It's a federal holiday. So on our show, the day after Trump's inauguration, we're going to draw a line in the sand. What are gas prices today? What's the unemployment rate? What's trailing GDP? Where has wage growth been? Job creation, inflation, consumer confidence, all this different stuff. And then we'll just simply look at the numbers and see how they change under Trump. There are millions of Americans waiting for $1.99 eggs and $1.50 gas. I don't believe it's coming unless we enter a recession, the likes of which would be brutally destructive to this country. This is why I disagree with people like Cenk Uygur. Again, it's not about, Cenk's heart is in the wrong place. Cenk seems to believe that something's going to change and that Trump will deliver on populist policies. Trump's populism is a con. It's a charade. It's a grift. It's campaign talk. It's all sizzle and no steak. He's not a populist. He's a salesman. And if what he needs to successfully make the sale is to say populist stuff, he'll do it. We know if what Trump believes he needs to say to make the sale is that he's against abortion, even though he was pro-choice for 68 years of his life, he'll say it. We know that because he did it in 2015. If Trump needs to say he has no problem with gay marriage, or he does, or he has no problem with trans people using the bathroom of their choice, or he does, he will say whatever he thinks will help him make the sale. And right now, it's been this populist stuff. The gas prices, energy prices, egg prices. It's a thing called groceries. Nobody ever heard of groceries before Trump, remember? It's just to make the sale. That's all it is. The only real thing he's selling is himself, and he's not going to do any of it. That's my prediction. And the reason I predict it is he has already stopped talking about it except when pressed. And when he's pressed, he is lowering expectations dramatically. So my question to you, and I asked this on Blue Sky. By the way, if you're not following me on Blue Sky, please do. davidpakman.com/Blue Sky. Where do you expect gas prices to be on January 20, 2026? Where do you expect unemployment to be January 20th, 2026? Where do you expect inflation and the stock market? And what do you think wage growth will be for the next year? We will start tracking it January 20th, 2025, and we will see where we land in that first year of Trump's presidency. Let me know where you expect to see those metrics. info@davidpakman.com. We'll take a quick break and be back right after this. Many of us have struggled with sleep at one point or another. A sleep aid many turn to is melatonin because it's a non-pharmaceutical remedy clinically proven to work without the side effects you might get with antihistamines or prescription meds. My favorite way to take melatonin is with the Dream Hot Cocoa Powder from our sponsor, Beam. It works. When you mix Dream Powder into hot water or milk for a delicious mug of cocoa, half an hour later, blissfully sleeping. No sugar added, it's naturally sweetened, and it comes in delicious flavors. My favorite is cinnamon cocoa, but vanilla chai is great too. You can get better sleep with melatonin, proven to help you fall asleep and stay asleep longer. Feeling rested makes the next day so much better. Keep Dream Powder nearby to soothe you to sleep when you need it. Get 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Pakman and use the code Pakman. The link is in the description.